course, teaching this year has been completely dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic. For much of the year, learners and teachers weren't in school. We're seeing people learning online in some places. Still, many children actually aren't going back to school in others. Nomusa Cembi is the spokesperson for the Teachers Union SADTU. Nomusa, good afternoon to you. How difficult has it been for teachers this year during this pandemic?
Good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers. This year has been quite a challenge for teachers as well as learners and the community at large. You know, being faced with the pandemic, having to juggle between ensuring that both the learners and the teachers are safe and ensuring that education takes place in that context. It's been quite a tough act to juggle, but we commend teachers for leading in the process and calling on the government to ensure that there is a balance, that the safety and also there is learning taking place, but safety is also maintained so that the two can balance.
How do you think this is going to change teaching? Are you expecting what we've seen this year to really make big changes to the way that we actually teach children?
It will have to change because, I mean, all of a sudden, both the learners and the teachers were faced with the challenges of having to adopt to new methods of teaching, having to use online learning and all that, and need to a lot of effort to be put in reskilling teachers. But however, as it may be, it also showed that machines we cannot only also rely on machines 100%. Teachers are still needed, even if the circumstances are like that. We still need teachers because teaching, you still need one-on-one engagement between the teacher and the learner. So it is a challenge to the department and the powers that be to ensure that there is proper infrastructure in our schools in order to enable that engagement to take place.
I mean, in a way, what happened during the pandemic, no one was prepared for. Do you think that the proper training of teachers for online teaching would make much of a difference? I mean, you know, this was a surprise, really. It was sprung on you. Do you think that proper teaching, and I mean, you know, teachers going through college now, university now, that actually they would come out better prepared?
Yes, it was a surprise, but in line with what is happening in the rest of the world, teachers needed to know or to be averse with online learning. But another issue is that besides online learning, we also need the resources and infrastructure. We are a country that has a vast majority that still do not have electricity or infrastructure that can enable that kind of online learning to take place. So it is a challenge for government to be able to ensure that there is a balance between the two.
No, I mean, I find it so interesting if you look at teaching and schooling, right? I mean, you know, my children are taught in the same way that their great-grandparents were taught, which is someone standing in front of a blackboard. Maybe it's an electronic screen sometimes, but usually a blackboard. And I understand why that works, because that's worked for so long. But I can't help but think that some company somewhere around the world is going to sort of crack a big online system that would allow you to teach more children with fewer teachers. It might seem strange now, but I can't help but feel that someone's going to do that. Does that worry you?
Yes, it does worry us a lot because we see that governments in some countries are adopting that line. But we are saying at the end of the day, for effective teaching to take place, you need a teacher in front of the learner. Even though we can have these machines, we still need that teacher in front of the learner because a learner needs to engage. Teaching is not about just assimilating information. A learner needs to engage. So a teacher will always be needed, no matter how much we become technologically advanced. The role of the teacher will always be there.
There's also the fact that so often a teacher plays a much bigger role than just a teacher in terms of education. I mean, so often teachers play roles in picking up, say, the abuse of children. They know the children, they understand the children, they can tell when something's happened to a child, they pick up problems in the home or in a community. I mean, there's a reason why so many of our society's issues and problems come to the fore in schools. It's because teachers are picking them up.
Yes, teachers play a much bigger role than just being there teaching or giving lessons. They provide comfort and build confidence in their learners, and we saw them doing this in this pandemic. And schools become just much more than just being institutions where learners are taught. Schools are also providing meals for many learners. And we found that during the pandemic, learners could not access that precious meal, and some of them just have that it's the only meal that they have in a day. So a teacher in the school is much more than just teaching.
Let's return now to teaching in the classroom during a pandemic, and we still are living through a pandemic. And I mean, I sort of feel that the argument around teaching during lockdown is going to still continue for quite some time, Nomusa. But I wanted to ask you how your members are finding teaching right now during lockdown level 1.
As we are in level 1, yes, teaching is taking place, and we did manage to ensure that the curriculum is trimmed so that we cover those crucial aspects of the curriculum. That is happening, teachers are complaining at the moment because we had to divide classrooms. In township schools, you'll find that there'll be like 60 learners in a class, 80 learners in a class, and classrooms have had to be divided to, one class be divided into 3. So you'll find that the teacher will have to teach the same thing in 3 classrooms. So we are calling on government to look at that and ensure that we have more teachers in our schools, and because the lesser numbers of learners per class, the more teachers are needed. So we need more teachers, because if this doesn't happen, you find that teachers do get burned out.
And Nomusa, are you finding that all children are back? I mean, the Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga said last week, I think it was she who said that there was a major problem that not all children had to come back. There are concerns that there will be a higher number of children who drop out of school this year because of the lockdown. Are you finding that most children are back, or do you share the same concern as the ministry?
We share the same concerns with the minister, because before the minister said this, we were conducting our own surveys among principals of schools, and it is one issue that the principals of schools highlighted, that they are missing learners in their schools. They are trying to get hold of them, but there are children who have not turned up, and we are appealing to parents to bring the learners back to school.
And Nomusa, I mean, there's a major problem in our society where from time to time we actually see your members, teachers, being attacked while teaching, sometimes by learners. I mean, I'll never forget some of the stories that we've covered in the past around that. I must say, I have not heard of any stories like that this year, and I realize it's been a very strange year. How are teachers feeling in the classroom? Are they feeling safe?
I was trying to hear your question. What was your question exactly?
Are teachers feeling safe at the moment, considering that sometimes teachers are actually attacked in classes?
Yes, the issue of violence in schools has been with us, and it's been increasing over a number of years. But there's been a slight decline. I can say this is due to COVID. But ever since schools came back, we have been seeing lots of videos being shown around of learners attacking each other. There's a lot of bullying and physical attacks amongst learners that we have seen as schools schools have opened since August. And the issue of attack on teachers is still there. That's why, as SADTU, last year we embarked on a campaign which we call "I Am a School Fan" campaign, where we are urging communities to be part of their schools and ensure that teachers are safe, learners are safe, and the infrastructure of the schools are safe. Because during the COVID-19 pandemic, there were many incidents of vandalism and burglary in our schools, and we are saying teaching and schooling cannot happen in isolation. We need communities. We need communities to come back and be part of and parcel of schooling.
Nomusa Cembi, thanks very much indeed. Spokesperson for the South African Democratic Teachers Union on World Teachers Day. I do appreciate the time.